Dan, I just realised there's nothing more you could physically do to play more if you tried.
Can't really say anything.
I'm gonna say 4, 8, or 12. I'm gonna say 4. No way there's more. There's no way. Don't tell me.
That is true.
Morgan, don't you dare. It's...
Let's see, Jovan.
Hello everyone and welcome to TFF Plus One with, I would say, the king of the CPL in terms of everything you need to know. He is here to tell us about... That's it. AFC Curtis. AFC Curtis, our CPL correspondent, you could say. Connecting, obviously, us, the Canadian host that we have, myself and Alex, obviously, and Dan and Morgan over the pond, or across the pond, however they say it. AFC Curtis is here to tell us all about CPL. Curtis, what's going on?
Thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited to be here today talking CPL. And thanks for calling me the king of CPL. I mean, I didn't say it. You guys said it. People might think it. I didn't say it, though. I just don't put that out there. So.
People think
you
it.
just want that on record.
That's for sure.
Or people maybe know it. Never mind think it.
Yeah, for sure. I think I was, little story, when I was, obviously the CPL just was announced. Obviously I came across your channel, Curtis. I thought it was really, really good. Still to this day, obviously, the content you come out with is definitely thought-provoking, especially I would say, personally, the ones with expansion. Because you just kind of like, oh, yeah, London. Could it be in London, Ontario? Could it be here? Could it be there? So definitely what you're doing is great for the exposure to CPL. However, let's turn it back on our gang because we got a full house here. Dan, Alex, Morgan, what's going on?
All good.
Good.
Excited.
You guys shy
Alex?
or what? What's going on?
Yeah, Alex. I'm waiting for Alex to move her face. I'm still waiting to see if she can move it. It must be so sore, no?
Oh, thank you. I was gonna say you could tell by the red on my, the red sun on my face that it's soccer season in Canada. Getting more time outdoors.
Yeah, Jovan, you said we have a full house, mate. That just reminds me, I've been playing so much poker recently. Poker, honestly, poker is the greatest game. Anyone listening that doesn't play poker, learn to play poker, because it is just, if you're competitive as well, definitely learn the game of poker.
If you get to play poker against Morgan, that's definitely a smart idea, because I'm not sure how much times he's.
Have you, Jovan? Do you play poker?
No.
No.
I'm not a gambler, really. No, not really to that.
Curtis, poker man.
Don't play poker, sorry. A little bit of blackjack or maybe on the phone if I'm bored, but the biggest card game I play pretty much is like Yu-Gi-Oh, so and that's for all the marbles sometimes. So.
I used to have the arm thing, you know the arm thing?
Yeah, the dual disc whatever. I used to have one of those, long time ago.
Ain't no joke.
So that's for real, that's when you're hardcore.
Yeah, facts.
So, I think the first thing we can start off with is very, very... Maybe more, this is for Morgan. Imagine the average Joe Englishman. No, this is obviously a question for Curtis, but this is about, just imagine a guy like Morgan with that hat.
Do you just compare me to the average Joe?
The average Joe Englishman.
The average Joe.
That has no idea about the CPL. No idea. He thinks
I'm an above average Joe. Can I just put that forward?
Okay. Okay.
That's a great
relatively
tagline.
Above average
All of your
Joe.
dating apps, above average Joe.
Might try
drinking out of that coffee cup. Explain to that Englishman in obviously in the UK, what is the Canadian Premier League? Talk about the last few seasons as high level as possible, obviously, and then we'll get into kind of what we should be expecting for probably the more knowledge about the league and about going into the 2021 season. But imagine you're talking to Morgan right now and explaining to the CPL.
Okay, well, so the Canadian Premier League, it's Canada's Division 1 football league. It's our version of the EPL, let's say. The quality obviously isn't as high as the EPL. EPL is probably the best league quality-wise in the world now. But the Canadian Premier League, their goal right now is the whole reason why they started back in 2019 was their first season was to pretty much just develop young Canadian stars for the Canadian men's national team so we can get the Canadian men's national team into the World Cup. and hopefully one day compete for a World Cup. So that's been the goal for them. And on top of that, they hope to, and they kind of recently announced this past spring that they would hope to be in the conversation as part of like maybe a big three in CONCACAF, which is our confederation in North America here, up there with Mexico's first division and US's first division, which of course everyone knows is the MLS. So that's kind of their hope. I would always try and say, like, comparison-wise, I think we're going to try and be almost kind of like the Portuguese league or the top league in the Netherlands or Belgium, kind of like one of those leagues that's a really good, a lot of good young players coming through that'll be set off hopefully to bigger clubs down the line.
Yeah, a big one there is what you mentioned, is the fact that when a league's just born out of nothing, and this is for me as obviously someone living here and going to see that inaugural game at Tim Hortons Field in Hamilton against York, which I believe you were at as well, right? Were you a little bit surprised about the level, the quality of the league? And we'll get into it, obviously, what transpired in terms of Forge's run a little bit in the CONCACAF league and basically showing the quality of some of these teams in this league. But what was your expectations going into the first season in terms of quality? There's nothing really to build. There was nothing to build on. Every team was kind of starting from scratch, you could say. So, talk about the level of the league in the first two seasons.
Yeah, so I know a lot of people. I remember at the end of the first season, a lot of people were like, "Oh, the quality is like really surprisingly good." And to be honest, I wasn't as surprised. Like, it pretty much met my expectations. I mean, you got guys like Kyle Becker, Chris Nanko, Tristan Borges, who was a good, not super highly touted, but still highly looked at prospect coming from, I think it was at the time he was in the Netherlands Academy, one of the clubs there. A few other good names that they had there, of course, coming in. They had literally got David Edgar in the summer, who's played pretty much since he was 18 with clubs all over England, mainly in the UK. Had some short stints in North America in there as well in his early 30s. But I mean, the quality was always there. So year one definitely met my expectations, and it was pretty good. I would say year two with the Island Games last year, it was really only a month. They didn't really have a training camp. It was like 2 weeks, and then they all stopped last March, and then they came back. They had like a little, I think, 2-week training camp right before leaving to the island. So they didn't really have much of a training camp. But the quality was even better in year two than it was in year one. So that, to me, impressed me a lot, considering they had no training. They were mostly all at home doing, home workouts, like I'm sure a lot of people are nowadays. So for these professionals to be able to do that, and to still come out and have a better quality in year two than year one, I mean, that's incredible to me. And even year three, I do kind of have higher expectations for year three's quality, because some of the international players are looking really cool. The resumes are really good, so for this upcoming third season. So I have high expectations for year three. But yeah, I would say quality-wise, overall-wise, right now coming into 2021, if I was to rank the CPL, I'd say we're top 10 in CONCACAF. I don't think we're really top 6 yet. I would say around 7 or 8 if I had to list it. But I would say probably, maybe for sure top 10, probably top 8 in CONCACAF right now.
Do you think that there's like a reason why there was such a big improvement between season 1 and season 2? Like, it would seem like it would be a step back, but like you said, you were noticing the higher quality. So what could be a result of that?
Yeah, so I think a result of that was, there was a lot of players, especially Canadian players in year one, that didn't have any really professional experience outside maybe like a trial somewhere or a couple in South America or in Europe. But I mean, going somewhere for a week to 2 weeks isn't like going somewhere and living there, getting paid to do it for a full season and getting full access to coaches 24/7, your development path, getting it all laid out piece by piece, step 1, 2, 3. So I think between year 1 and year 2, besides having like a 10-month off season, along with that, I think it was just a lot of our Canadian players definitely had that kind of like the next level of their development met, where they can be with a professional coach who has professional experience. They're with them 24/7. They can iron out wrinkles in their game. They don't have to worry about what's my job kind of for this season. Obviously, if you're on youth teams, every year can be different because there's such an influx of talent coming in and out, getting promoted, getting released, getting sold. I think that was a huge step for them. So a lot of players kind of didn't have to keep restarting every year, if that makes sense. They kind of had what they built in year 2019, then you just build on it for 2020, and then away you go. And so I think that was a huge help. I think another huge help, and I actually read a really good book about this called The Mixer, about how English Premier League kind of got to the level they're at now. And I believe this is true, but international talent is always huge. And I think the international talent from year 1 to year 2 is absolutely fantastic. I mean, every team only has 7 total spots on their roster that they can have international players with, and only 5 of those can start in your starting 11 and play in the starting 11 for your team on game day. So those guys, like, if you're going to pay them the high salaries, the high-end salaries, and if you're going to take up one of those 7 slots, they better be good. And in year 1, a lot of them, I would say probably over half of them, didn't meet expectations at all. Year 2, that was a different story. For sure, over half of them met expectations. And they pushed the league. And because they were able to push the league, they pushed the Canadians that rose to that level. And I think that's why you saw that increase in quality.
I know you're speaking about the first sort of 2 years of the league, and you sort of see a gradual improvement, but looking forward maybe 5 or 10 years from now, where do you see the league in terms of like the amount of expansion teams there'll be, or if there'll be a different format? So sort of like in looking more towards the future in sort of the next 5 to 10 years, where do you sort of see the CPL?
Yeah, I mean, so the next 5 years, so 5 years from now, of course, will be 2026, which is when Canada will be one of the co-hosts for the 2026 FIFA World Cup, which is huge, and a big reason why they started this league was to kind of give us 7 years to build some talent to give to the Canadian men's national team for that World Cup. So not only that if we do qualify, whether it be automatic or having the player weigh in, which is possible, that we can be competitive at least. So I think in 5 years, I would like to see, and I think that we'll have more teams in 5 years. Hopefully more teams in Quebec. I mean, that's a huge, huge province. That's so many high caliber talent. That's just not being tapped into right now, and it's honestly a real shame. Like we're losing if we don't get that province into the game, to be honest with you, with at least 2, maybe 3 teams. I think so yeah, 5 years, I would say at least 14 teams, maybe 16. I think 10 years, and my hope in 10 years is that we have promotion, relegation, and a second division.
That's the dream, baby. That's what football's all about.
That is it, exactly. And but it also depends who's in charge of the CPL, and it depends on if the owners are for it, and which I think we've all seen recently with what happened with the Super League. Owners usually aren't for it, so I don't know. Hopefully we get promotion, relegation. I think that's going to help drive talent-wise. I also think in 5 years' time, I really can't think the Canadian Premier League will probably be top 5 in CONCACAF. 10 years for sure, top 5. I don't know about top 3 in 10 years because Honduras is also a country. Costa Rica is also, they're Division 1 countries. They're really trying to improve to kind of maintain that number 3 spot in CONCACAF. So I mean, and then even the Mexican second division is not a bad league at all. So I mean, with all that stuff, I think top 5 for sure in 10 years, and hopefully selling more players to Europe in 10 years and more stars in Europe.
I've got a question because something I've noticed as we've got to know you is you give very good answers, but I'd be intrigued to see how you answer this one. Help me to understand why it is so important in terms of when you think about national team development and kind of increasing or aiming for something higher, trying to achieve something greater. Why is it so important to have a domestic league? Because I look at a country like Belgium, who almost all their national team players play in other leagues around Europe and around the world. The US, more and more of their players on the national team now play in Europe or also elsewhere. So why is it so important for Canada to have that domestic league in order to guarantee a higher level or quality of players going into the 2026 World Cup and beyond, for that matter?
Yeah, I mean, I think with a domestic league, you get more jobs, more coaching jobs, more player jobs, I should say, more executive jobs, and that's only a good thing. I think we need as many Canadians out there as possible playing, because I mean, you got to think too, not every Canadian can go play in Europe or go play in South America, especially when they're super young. And I think that for the longest time, since essentially the end of the Canadian Soccer League in like 91, 92. That's been the biggest hurdle, I feel, for Canadians, is if you don't have an EU passport, you're not going to go anywhere when you turn 18. You're not going to go to the next level. You're not going to be professional. I mean, we got the MLS clubs that kind of helped out because they take a lot of Canadians in their academies. But, I mean, Toronto, honestly, for the last couple of years when they've been so dominant, I mean, there's no room to bring in a young Canadian player, let's be honest. So those guys either get released, go to college, and go out and get a normal job, or maybe they go to another MLS team and sit on the bench. But no American MLS team would want to take them anyway because they count against the international cap. And why sign a Canadian when your own country doesn't even want your talents? So,
Yeah.
and that's the same thing with Canadians going to Europe. I mean, if there's no domestic league that wants to take a chance on you, then why should Milton Keyes take a chance on you and sign you? You know what I mean? So.
Yeah.
I think that's why we need a domestic league, is to kind of have that, like, the kind of safety net that if you do try and climb high and you just miss a step and you fall back down, you have a place that catches you, that you can come in, you got a familiar setting, your home country, you play in front of your family or friends, you can get familiar, and I think too, getting to play at home, I think is going to be key, because you're more comfortable at home and you can kind of develop faster. I feel if you're more comfortable, if you're more sound, you don't have as many things on your mind, then your game will improve faster than if you were in Europe. You're by yourself, you don't speak the language, you're isolated from everybody, you can't talk to your teammates, you're not friends with them because you can't communicate even with them outside the pitch. So, I mean, that's why domestic league is huge, because for so many reasons, like I said, it creates jobs, gives players a proper pathway from 18 on, if you don't have an EU passport, to finally crack a pro job and then hopefully get seen to go elsewhere.
Yeah.
And we've already seen it become successful already over 2 years.
Yeah, I think when you look at it, and I think when Morgan mentions obviously Belgium, right? At the end of the day, these Belgian players started in their own league. I think that's what we're going to have now, where a lot of players that, as you mentioned, might have fell off the track because there was no, they weren't able to get that trial at Wolves or at Leicester. Now we're going to be able to, allow them that chance, and whether that's obviously going to allow us to develop. I think when looking at obviously all the benefits of the league, which is there's so many benefits, and about time, it's probably late, should have been done a while ago. I think the key thing is obviously financially. COVID came obviously at the worst time for a league like this, and staying up, and a lot of people, cynics of the league would say, well, this is only a matter of time till it goes bankrupt or something like that. Do you want to kind of talk a little bit about this financial security of the league, what you honestly see? Obviously, I know, as someone who's not obviously internal to the project, how important do you think it is that we have funding that can kind of take us through the startup phase of a league that is the CPL?
Yeah, so before I go in and give my opinion on it, I do want to say to everybody that I don't work for the league, I'm not internal, I don't know the numbers, I don't talk to the owners, they never reply to me, so so as much as I keep saying,
so it's a one-way conversation.
I see. Yeah, I'm like, hey, I'll half own Valor, all I have is a $10 Subway gift card, is this give me 10% of the club? But no, it doesn't work.
If it's Subway, you have no chance, man.
Yeah. I think financially, I'm sure that every club lost money in year one, and I'm sure last year, 2020, every club got just destroyed financially, and I'm sure it's going to happen again this year with COVID, because I mean the fact of the matter is that, especially a league as new as this, most of the revenue is going to come from two things: kit sales, and ticket revenue, and season tickets and stuff. So. I mean, if you can't get fans in the stands, I mean, that's a huge blow. And they didn't do it last year. I doubt they're going to do it this year anywhere in Canada. And if they do, it's 100 to 200 fans, which is change. That's change. So it's
pennies.
Yeah, and it's that. Those are the two big revenue things. I mean, we lost 2 years, but at the same time, I think it's very, very interesting to see how important this league is to owners, that they actually pushed through, first of all, and they had a season last year, despite everything, because they could have very easily said, no, we're not going to have a season this year, and find a way to save money that way. But instead they went out of their way, they did put on a season. So I think to me, that does prove that these owners want this thing to work. And even this season, trying to have a full 20-game season in a 4.5 month span, I mean, that again just proves that they really want to have a season. They really want this to work. And I think the CPL, I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't know how long this is going to last. They're going to keep losing money. Well, first of all, no business in the first 5 years makes money. That's a fact.
Yeah.
The second point is with the 2026 World Cup coming up, which the owners only signed on to do this thing, and only the future owners coming into the league only signed on because the hope is by 2026 the game gets really hot from the World Cup that year. Davies is this big superstar in Canada. Everyone knows his name. Everyone wants to follow their local soccer club now. And then all of a sudden this thing blows up, and they're like, "Oh man, we had a Division One league the whole time. Like, let's invest into it." So I mean, the hope from the owners is that they're around for a few years. They kind of get the hardcore fans in, and then when the World Cup hits, they get those casual fans that are made from that World Cup being so close to home. So financially, I don't think the league will die before 2026, and I don't think it'll die afterwards because I think that this time around they're doing everything right. They got the right stadiums, they got the right brands, they for the most part have the right people. Yeah, they've been some bumps in the roads from a lot of different perspectives with how things have maybe been run in these last 2-3 years. But at the end of the day, we all want this thing to succeed, and I think it will this time. I do.
There's definitely a gap in the window in terms of summer and football in Canada. There's obviously a lot of winter sports in Canada, but I think there is a gap in football. So what do you think is needed to be done to ensure that you have like a large following that stays around kind of post 2026? What does the league have to do to ensure that they keep that following and some of those casual fans become even bigger fans, if you get what I mean?
I think a big part about North American sports, especially with a younger generation like our generation and generations after us, is going to be star power. More people nowadays are following players more in clubs. Nobody's a fan of Juventus right now. They're a fan of Cristiano Ronaldo. Okay, sorry. Let me clear that one up first of all, because I already hear my Italian friends. They're gonna call me any second now. They just heard that. Shout out to my friend Antonio. He's a huge Juve fan, but you know what I mean. Like they went from getting I heard somewhere around the lines that they were getting maybe around 1 million people watching their highlights before Ronaldo. Post Ronaldo, they're getting 7 million people. So you're telling me 6 million Juventus fans just found Juventus highlights all of a sudden? No, it's because Cristiano Ronaldo's there for the last 3 years. So, I mean, guys like Ronaldo and Messi and this generation that is their generation of stars, we can lump in Neymar in there and then Zlatan. Those guys kind of made it cool and popular to follow, your favorite football stars or even your managers. Like, I'm a huge Jurgen Klopp fan. So, of course, my favorite German club is probably Borussia Dortmund because Jurgen Klopp was there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Thank God I got the best of both worlds that he went to Liverpool because they're my favorite club in general. So, I mean, that was a win-win for me. But you know what I mean? Like, people just follow either someone they like, a personality. Jose Mourinho is a huge personality. That's a huge one, too. So I think to keep casual fans around post-2026, I think what the CPL really needs to do is build stars and to push... I don't want to say the characters, but essentially make those characters visible to them. Like, there's some really good personalities in the league. I think Rob Gill's on the Valor FC manager is one of them, to be honest.
Yeah.
Tommy Wilton Jr. is a character. Bobby Smirniotis, the Forge FC coach there, he's kind of got this mystique around him because obviously he's the only one that ever won a title. But then, of course, now his cool beard is so cool.
Beard is huge. That's what I was going to say.
The beard is so popular right now. I mean, it's crazy. But, I mean, you know what I mean? But it's just like, it's
Probably
building...
better than mine.
Yeah. It's better than everybody's, don't worry. I'm pretty sure he's actually the younger version of Santa now. But essentially, it's like building those stars. Like we have guys like Marco Bustos, Kyle Becker. Like, we need to be seeing more of those stars pushed on CBC when these games are on so that fans can get connected to them. And not only that, I mean... You can build stars, but don't just ship them out after 1 or 2 years. Like, keep them around as long as you can. Especially like someone like Kyle Becker. I interviewed him a couple months ago, and like I get the feeling that this guy, he's going to finish his career. Like, he's going to play another couple more years, and he doesn't want to leave the CPL. And I think this is a guy that is one of the guys that you should put on your posters. You put on everything. You put on the graphics for promotion of the games, and to get fans trying to going out and not just buying Forge FC kits, but getting Kyle Becker kits, because. These are some star name players you can build. Marco Bustos is another one. I mean, I feel like they almost kind of dropped the ball last 2 years, honestly, in having him, because this guy's such a talent, and I feel like they kind of didn't promote him a whole lot as a big superstar until maybe toward the end of last year, and I think and he's here this year again, and on the Vancouver Island there with PFC. Obviously, if we lose him to a bigger club, I mean, it would suck for the league and having personalities and having cool, characters and superstars. But again, you got to capitalize on this stuff, and I think the CPL really has to do that if they are to keep the casual fans, in my opinion. Because, I mean, clubs culture and stuff, that's cool, but that's a European thing. It's not really like that in Canada unless you're talking about hockey.
Definitely.
Yeah, I'm going to jump in while I have the chance here. I think it's super important. Like, all that stuff you're saying is so key, and a big thing that I think that is a benefit to this league is USports, and the battle of USports versus like NCAA and all that kind of stuff, and keeping players in Canada. And when you have a professional league, that's okay, you have two options when you're 18. You can go to university or you go pro. Those are your two options if you're a high level soccer player. And if you want to go to university, like, it's, the trend is changing a bit, but predominantly it's okay, you go to the States and then you look from there. And so we need to create this culture of like, okay, when you're 18, you go university or you go pro, and both those options are top level and they're available to you in Canada. And I feel like CPL, like, they need to find a way to integrate with universities as one thing, that they need to do a better job. Whether they're doing it or not, as I'm not sure, which leads to me to my next problem, is that we need more exposure, we need more media coverage. Like, they need to, like you said, like, get those characters. You need to let people know, like, where Kyle Becker's from, and have someone, like, have the community connected and be like, I'm from the same place as him and look at how far he's got, and make it like, for like Hockey Night in Canada, they do hometown hockey or whatever, right? And like, people feel so like excited when hometown hockey's coming to their town, and it hypes them up. And it's like, you have to do things like that for this league to take off, because you have to create some like Canadian pride, and you have to have the people feel connected to what they're seeing on TV.
Yeah, and to plug in, just to give you more information about the USports thing, because I actually read a really good article today about it that I thought was really cool, because I didn't know this stuff either, for some of the little behind-the-scenes stuff about the USports stuff. So the CPL has a deal with USports in Canada here, which is Canadian University Soccer and stuff like that. So with that, they have a draft every year, 2 rounds, snake draft, right? So with that, they also have special contracts with this. So, and this is cool, because I think I'm pretty sure this is the only type of draft that anybody has, where you can draft a college player, you sign them to what's called like a developmental contract. You get to play from the spring through the summer, and then by August, early August, kind of when you have to go back to university and kind of do like a preseason there and whatnot, you can choose. If you still have eligibility left in college, you can choose to go back to college and play out your college youth sports season in the fall, or you can forego your college experience and just stay and sign a pro deal and play professionally in the pro ranks of the CPL. So I think that's really cool to have that. And of course, if you go back to school, you can either re-sign in the off-season back with that club to a developmental contract if you still have eligibility left, or if you're done your eligibility, you can sign a full contract with that former club of yours, or if you don't want to sign with them, they don't want to sign you, you can actually just go right back into the draft again and get drafted by a different club and kind of do the process over again, which I think is really cool and unique, because it gives those players... Yeah, and it's really cool too, because it gives those players the option to both get an education, which is really important, especially when you're done your pro playing career, which, usually by your mid-30s, let's say. Then what do you do the rest of your life? There's not going to be a media job for everybody or a coaching job for everybody. It's just how it is. So what else are you going to do? So I think that college education is really important, but also getting the pro minutes, they're getting developed, getting to be in that professional atmosphere, which is something that we talked about earlier in this show, about why the quality of play improved, is because they were in that professional atmosphere 24/7. They had the access to the coaches, to veterans. Another really interesting point to make too about the youth sports draft is international players that get drafted out of it and sign as the developmental contracts, they actually count as a Canadian, so they don't count against the international cap, which is huge. Because then you can sign 7 international players and still draft 2 international players, and they count as Canadians. So, but it's only if they sign and they're signed underneath the developmental contract. If they're signed under a full contract, like for example Peter Schall is on Halifax, then he counts as international. But this is also important too because you can use that as a selling point to get international talent to come over to play in Canadian youth sports because it's like, look, you're good here, we'll draft you probably. You get to play and then you get to go back to school in the fall time and then do it all over again the following year. And when they come over and play, and you get these higher level international players to come play in your youth sports development, you also get now Canadians that want to stay at home because they see that there's some good quality players now playing in it, therefore raising the quality of playing youth sports. So I think that's a really smart way of how they did it. I tip my cap to whoever put that deal together because like that's pretty smart deals.
Yeah, I love how they have that kind of development phase, but then they also have the fact that because it's a summer league, the players can go on loan during the off season to clubs. We've seen Michael Petrasso obviously went to Barnet, and he's done very well there. Scored some big goals and assists for them. And there's other players doing it. Even the MLS Darryl Dyke at Barnsley. So that's what I love about the North American sport, specifically football, because it's in the summer. You can then have those players going on loan and make a big impact in some teams across the globe during the season, which is such good practice. You can't replicate game experience without being in the game, but with that you can actually do so in the off season.
Yeah, and that's huge. Honestly, I think those deals were fantastic. I mean, half of York United right now is like playing in Europe anyway, but but I mean that's huge because now when the preseason comes in the summertime, they're going to hit the ground running, right? Because they're going to be in mid-season form technically.
100%. And as Canadians would say, 2026, soccer's coming home. So, do you think in 2026, Canada could go further than the States in 5 years?
Well, I mean, they have to qualify for 2026 because I don't think, as of right now, it's not automatic. I think it's only Mexico and U.S. So, I mean, hey, I don't know what I kind of want them to have to qualify just to kind of get that swagger of qualifying, and be like, we still did it, and then after that, be competitive. But I mean, I think they can go farther in 2026 than the U.S.? I mean, that's hard to say. I mean, that's still 5 years from now, so I kind of want to see.
The States look strong.
They have a lot of good. Well, they have got a lot of good talent, but they also missed the last World Cup. So and they had a lot of good talent back then. So I mean, I think the system there needs to be fixed a little bit. I heard a really good podcast about why certain teams are so successful in World Cups and stuff recently, and a good formula is because of similarities, being able to develop players in the same academies. Like, look at Germany when they won the World Cup. Half those players were built in the Bayern Munich academy. The other half was built in the Schalke academy. No wonder they won. They were all together.
Synergy as well. Synergy,
yeah.
Exactly. And this guy. It was actually about this book coming up about the U.S. men's national team, about why they've kind of dipped recently, and it's because of that, where they were. There's no real development path for American players where they're all together on the same squad. You always got one player from this place, one player from this place, and the MLS, But now that's kind of changing in recent years. You got kind of FC Dallas is really pumping out players. Philadelphia Union's really pumping out American players. So that's kind of adding to that theory where they theoretically should be successful based on that because they have that synergy, they have that familiarity for everybody there. So I think we need that for Canada, for Canadian players, to be honest. And then once that kind of goes, then I think that kind of unlocks that next level. And that's why so many countries are so successful.
We need
because
and I think that would explain England's downfall, wouldn't it, Dan? Would you say, because all our players they always play against each other.
Yeah,
they never play together. They always compete against each other in the same league.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see the lack of, I guess, team chemistry, or I don't know. Yeah, you can see that not a lot of them play with each other, and a lot sort of play against each other on a more regular basis, I guess.
Pickers can't be choosers. You guys have the best league in the world, so take it and stop talking. But but no, I mean that's obviously interesting stuff. I think before we obviously talk about this 2021 season of the CPL, because we could obviously talk about Canadian football for a long time with the World Cup, or the Gold Cup coming up this summer, also the World Cup qualifying. Before we go into the CPL and also the non-league football game, how important is this year? Is this the most important year? Maybe a better question for the Canadians men's national team ever in history.
Is the most important year.
Ever.
I would argue every year after this year is the most important year for Canadian men's national team.
Yeah.
But I think for now, I think I would say it's the most important year for this era, only because I think they need to take that next step. I think that we need to be able to compete with the best on a regular basis for CONCACAF, and then what that means is essentially they got to make it through this round of qualifying in June, and they need to go and play next season, like in the fall time, through the next World Cup cycle, or I guess the completion of this World Cup cycle, and playing against the U.S. and Mexico on a regular basis, and Honduras and Costa Rica. That's what we need to get to, because we got a young team, but I'm so sick and tired of beating teams 5-6-0, but these teams are not even top 20 in CONCACAF. Like, give me a break.
Yeah.
This is a preseason match to me, to be honest with you. I mean, that's so
Yes.
frustrating. It's like, these players aren't going to get any better because they're playing players that they don't even actually play professional football, you know what I mean? So, I mean, we need to be playing against, the best in CONCACAF if we want to even say that we want to qualify for the World Cup. And,
True.
I mean, that's what needs to happen, and if we can't even qualify for that, then we don't deserve to make a World Cup. Well, thankfully, I think we are in that position, and will be in that position after these next games in June to qualify for that next step, which is super important. But then from there, we just have to be competitive with those guys. We need to roll with the punches with those guys. I'm not expecting to make the 2022 World Cup. I really am not. I think the goal should honestly be just to compete with those guys and to play those guys on a regular basis, so that we can get prepared. We need to think about the long ball here, not 2022,
Definitely.
but 2026. That's what the real goal is. That's the real World Cup we want to be at, because we need to be there and we need to be competitive at that one if we want Canadian soccer to succeed in Canada. Period. So this is probably, honestly, the next 5 years is the most important period in Canadian soccer history ever, because if it doesn't, if after 2026, if this thing doesn't roll, it's dead in the water. The league will be very small after that, and we're gonna just be spinning our tires in mud pretty much, because we're not gonna go anywhere.
To that point, as you said, obviously the fact that we're going to be hosting a World Cup, and we should, by all questions, be in that World Cup. That's for sure, whether it's automatic or qualifying. The thing that when I look at it and getting those casual fans, Canada has to be competitive at that World Cup, and what history's kind of showed us that, for Canada to have their first World Cup after probably at that time would be probably 50 years maybe.
40
So to expect on a debut in the tournament in your backyard to be competitive, how important, I know you said you don't expect us to actually qualify for the World Cup in 2022, but how important would that be to be there and to kind of test the waters, and for all those players that, sure, they're competitive in their leagues, as we mentioned. Some are playing Champions League football, some are playing obviously Europa League football. How important is that they get that taste in Qatar? Because, I mean, if you look at quality-wise and where we're at, obviously we've never played we haven't played a really important game in a while. I mean, what was that, 11-1 game or whatever it was recently? Yeah. I mean, that, again, as I agree with you, I think that's not really showing anyone anything. Pretty sure that team had to be at work at 9 a.m. on a different island that at the same resort.
Yeah.
So, obviously, when you look at that, how important is that, not only do we compete in that octagon or whatever it is, but that we do get in there, because if Canada loses all 3 games in Toronto or in Vancouver, wherever, or Montreal, then the nature of these fans here, they probably would be like, we embarrass ourselves, and maybe that, increase in popularity won't be as much as we expected.
I think winning one game of that World Cup will change everything for football fans, for Canada. Honestly,
yeah, I think so. I think it's the magic of doing it. I think it's the magic of being there, being at that level, and then obviously, like you said, Morgan, winning one. I mean, ideally, obviously, 2026, it'd be great to get there just so this young core can get that experience of qualifying, and then obviously getting the experience of getting to actually play those minutes in the World Cup. I mean, that's huge. That's huge. I mean, experience sometimes I think is looked upon as being important, and obviously it is. But I don't think it's the most important thing, though. I think it's the most important thing that we got to do is just play as many games as we possibly can with our young core together. just so they can get that synergy. It's all about the synergy.
Yeah.
It's all about the building of the chemistry. Because without that chemistry, we're just not going to qualify for any World Cup. So, I mean, the more games, the better. Sure. I mean, getting the bonus on top of that is getting that experience, like I said, at 2026 World Cup if they can make it. But as long as they play as many games as possible, that's all I want at this point. And as many games as possible against good teams.
It's about the long-term forward-thinking approach. Like, to give you a basketball example, the Milwaukee Bucks, obviously, last few years, they've been doing really well in the regular season. Then they get to the playoffs, then everyone just kind of focuses on Giannis, and they go, uh-oh, and they don't know what to do. I mean, so this season, they've actually treated the regular season as more of a build or practice run for the actual playoffs. So this season, even though we haven't seen them play yet, this season there's a lot more promise for them in the playoffs because they've practiced different things in terms of trying to adjust to the slower defenses of the NBA, etc., etc. So it's about having that long-term forward-thinking approach, and sometimes that could be kind of a bigger contributor to your success. So I think it's important the same kind of blueprint to be applied for this Canadian national team, and not just necessarily focus on whatever they're doing at that moment, but use it as opportunities to build up and practice, Even if you don't succeed, it's all building up for the big moments, coming up in the next 5 years.
Yeah, my biggest fear is them going to play U.S. or Mexico, and they're down 2-0 at halftime. They're like, oh, shit, what are we going to do? Because they're used to blowing out teams 11-1 or whatever it is, It's just, you're not going to blow out Mexico or U.S. 11-1.
But that's what they need. That's what they need.
They need to be blowing out teams 11-1, you mean? Or playing against...
No. No, what they need is that those being...
Losing to Mexico 2-0?
Wow. Yeah, they need those half times.
The show, Morgan.
I was gonna say Jovan does a good job making me look like a fool. Now you're doing it as well. Wow. Okay.
It's not a coincidence.
No, I understand what you're saying. Though, yeah.
But Curtis, that's what you need to do to be a host on this show. So you're doing all the right things. But yeah, no, losing 2-0 at halftime to the States or Mexico, and kind of thinking what's going on here? What are we doing? That's what they need. They need to figure out how to get back from that. That resilience, that's so important in football. So, especially in international football. So, I think that's so important. And yeah, who knows? We'll see. 2022 ? 2026 we pray. So yeah, we'll see what we can do. Right, is everyone up for the No Name Football game now?
I think we should get on it. Yeah, the No Name Football game.
Yep.
Set for one fall. Let's see if we can snap this losing streak here. AFC Curtis will play Dan Stevenson. It's Winnipeg versus London. Actually, no, not London. Hitchin. I'm thinking because he's an Arsenal fan, so
yes.
Hitchin specifically. All right, good to go. Let's get right in. I think AFC Curtis's goalkeeper will start with a ball, looking to play out to his back four. Yeah.
Okay, I'll go left back.
Oof. Well, it's just like magic, because just like that, I think the left back has the ball, no problems there, as the left back will look to advance it to his midfield free.
So, yeah, pick a midfielder next.
Okay, I'll
go right, center, or left.
Left.
The defense is shambles, and I think we understand that the start is definitely not what Dan expected. The ball goes out to the left midfielder.
Right forward, center forward, or left forward?
Center forward.
Straight direct to the goal, and we have a first scoring opportunity of the game. Morgan, take us through the questions.
Right. I'm up. Okay.
This is very
Here we go.
This is very, very shocking, by the way, because this.
It's a quick start.
It's a quick start, and there's no interventions yet, and you could be up.
Dan always sucks at the beginning. Yeah. I don't know why, but he always do.
Skips the warm up. You're getting old. Yeah. You gotta warm up. You gotta warm up the muscles.
Yeah. Okay, AFC Curtis, are you ready for your Canadian Premier League knowledge to be put to the test?
I'm excited for this.
Yeah, we're about to see what you really know. Right? These aren't These are no easy questions. Okay.
Oh no.
Here we go. Yeah, exactly. Well, this is
His throne is in doubt now.
Yeah, here we go. This is my chance for a bit of redemption. So, 3 goal scorers are level for the most goals in the CPL. 2 of them are Canadian. So you got Borges and Ongaro.
Yep.
Which non-Canadian player is the third? Is it
Akeem
A,
Garcia.
Dominique Malonga? Is it B, Victor Blasco? Or is it C, Akeem Garcia?
Let's see. 100%. Let's see. It's Akeem the
Wow.
Dream Garcia.
No
Wow.
hesitation.
And
It's
it's
quiet.
1-0, no problems there. Confident finish in the left corner of the goal. And just like that, as he questioned the striker, and he had the answer with no doubt at all. 1-0, AFC Curtis.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna
this
get
is-
slapped.
Love it. Dan, you're gonna get spanked so hard, mate. Oh my days. Your
This
bum's
is
gonna be
actually-
red
this is
in
gonna be
Alex's
a
face.
record.
Oh my days.
Yeah.
Okay. Here we go. Right, so Dan's
Alright,
goalkeeper has the
okay.
ball now, so Curtis, you'll be defending him now. Try and
Oh, wait,
intercept the
2
ball.
seconds. Sorry.
So yeah, just anticipate where he's gonna go. Right back, center back, full back, or left back.
Right back.
Jeez.
Woo!
Crazy
Jeez.
pressing right there, and we have a chance for an interception. Dan went to his right back, and he definitely chose the wrong way. I'm not sure.
You were like, where was I going with
I was like,
that?
I don't know what to say, man. It's the accent, you're doing the accent, you're doing the other side. It's a disaster.
Okay, here we go. Okay, you answered that first one confidently, so I'm seeing kind of where we are here. There's levels to this game. Okay, so I'm gonna crank it up a level. Okay, here we go. How many players rank in top 10 all time for both goals and assists? Is it A1, B2, or C3?
Sorry, how many players rank?
How many
in both
players
goals and
rank in
assists?
both top 10 all time so far, obviously, for
Okay.
goals and assists? 1, 2, or 3? Feel free to share your thinking with us.
Let's say this
1,
is
2,
like
or 3. It's not 1. I just don't think.
Why
it's
can you
1.
think of 2?
I believe in the top 10. Well, Bustos is gonna be up there, so that's 1. God, what did it? I can't remember if.
this is either you know
Borges.
your shit or complete
Yeah.
random guess. There's
Yeah.
no.
Man,
Everyone has their limits.
I'm gonna say.
Trust your gut. That's
That's it,
that's
too.
my problem.
And 2 is the final answer. Alright.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, if you did get this question right, which who knows, we don't know yet, the king of the CPL would be an understatement. However, you're still
Yeah.
you're still the king of the CPL. The real answer was free, and Dan gets out of trouble there as his right back has the ball, and he'll look to play into his midfield 3.
Yeah, before I tell you, do you want to guess the 3? Bustos, you said.
Bustos. I was like, man, I bet you it's 3. Shit. Bustos.
The 3 Bs, that's your clue. The 3 Bs.
Bustos, Borges, and 3 Bs, eh? Who am I missing?
Spanish.
Oh, is it on PFC there? No, Blasco?
Yeah,
Wow,
Yeah.
that's impressive.
there you go.
That's really
Wow.
There
impressive.
you go.
That is wow.
Yeah, even that alone.
Very
He's that high in both goals and assists?
Yeah. Yeah, he's tied up there, top 10.
Okay.
All right.
Good for him. Did not think it was that high. Sorry, Victor. Sorry, Victor.
There we go.
I
I
mean,
hope-
we'd love Victor to be watching it.
Victor, if
I
you're
was gonna
watching,
say, I hope-
subscribe.
Yeah.
I forgot to do that. But subscribe and like.
Be a good boy, eh?
Subscribe,
Be a
follow.
good boy.
All right, your
Right.
next move, you're gonna pick either a right mid, center mid, or left mid. Where are you pressing?
I'm gonna say. Dan's gonna try and throw me for a loop here. I'm gonna say left mid.
I'll go
Woo!
Just the football,
Did I
the
get it
football
right?
is just, that has been played tonight is just unbelievable. It's just absolutely unbelievable. And he's looking to pounce at every chance. Another chance for an interception. Left midfielder was pressed. And let's go to the third question of the day.
Wow. Okay. Let's have a look. Oh, here we go. This is your next one. How many nationalities in the CPL have 3 or more players representing them? A4, B8, or C12? So 3 or more.
How many nationalities in the league?
So how many nationalities that outside of Canadian obviously
Yeah.
have 3 or more players representing them? 4, 8, or 12?
That's just a tough question to understand. Never mind to answer.
It's a bit of a wordplay, isn't it?
Huh.
Wordplay.
Yeah, that's not wordplay. That's what Forms does. No.
And this is up to date on latest signings, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Ooh.
3 or more, eh? 3 or more.
Bloody hope it is.
That's on Google.
I'm like, me.
Well, there's definitely Spanish now, for sure.
If you name all these countries, you're winning. It's a 3-0 forfeit. We're moving on with it.
Yeah, it's the old FIFA rage quit.
And I'm off. I'm leaving.
Spanish. Oh man, I think I want to say English, but I'm trying to think of all the guys.
Dan, I just realised there's nothing more you could physically do to play more if you tried.
Can't really say anything.
I'm gonna say 4, 8, or 12. I'm gonna say 4. No way. There's more. There's no way. Don't tell me,
That is true.
Morgan. Don't you dare. It's
Let's see, Jovan.
Well, now that the second time of asking, he does retain the ball, and now we'll look to put 2 goals up against Dan. The correct answer was 4, and the countries were Spain, England. You were right. The other 2.
Wait. The other
One
2.
have a go.
If you get the other 2, we'll kick off Dan and we'll bring you on the pod.
Okay.
oh man. I don't want to do that to Dan. I feel bad. I feel
I
bad.
wouldn't let that happen. That's for sure. But we could definitely do. I'd let you come on. That's fine. Actually, I'd let you. Take
I
my
started
place.
this and I'm the
I
first
still
one
want
off.
to answer it though. I'm not gonna kick you out, but I still want
I
to see if I can
guarantee
get it.
they're starting a little cartel and they're gonna kick me off. I'm telling you.
Dan's
I've been watching too many
facial
cartel
expression
shows.
there, you're gonna have to like rewind the tape and use that facial expression I just saw in your little square and like use it for content. It went from smiling and laughing to straight you saw someone be killed.
We'll kick off Dan and we'll bring you on the pod.
Okay.
Oh man.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
Mate, the meme is ready. The memes are ready. When that, oh my god, I've got the perfect one. When you realise Arsenal can still make top 7.
Nah, don't. Do not do that. I might accidentally corrupt the file, so.
This is great banter. It really is.
Wait, where the f are we with this game?
So Curtis has to pick. Are you gonna go right, center, or left forward?
Are we not going to allow him to guess the other 2 countries, or is he already done that?
Oh yeah, okay.
Oh my god, yeah. So
Okay,
this is
okay.
for Dan's, this is for Dan more so than you.
I'm gonna say. God, I want to say Irish, but I don't think Northern Ireland. But I think because I know there's, I want to say 2 technically. I think for sure 1. I know for sure 1, no, but not them. It's not them. It's not them. It's not them. It's gonna
Halifax
be-
Wanderers. I'll give you a hint. Halifax Wanderers.
Well, there's for sure. There's got to be Brazilians.
Yeah.
One more.
The last country is one that's it's one of the
Should be
biggest, but
obvious.
you would not think of it.
No, you would think of it. Think about Halifax Wanderers.
Really?
Yeah. If I say another hint, it's easy. So, it's in there.
And has a seat on the throne just opened up.
Yeah.
That's
No, because I don't know the other two.
Why do we do this? We just bring guests on, we just roast them, like they're not gonna come back. We need to stop.
Halifax and shit. I don't know, man.
You'll be vexed. Go on.
Probably will be.
Trinidad and Tobago.
Because who's the third one?
No, there's 6.
There's 6 from Trinidad and Tobago.
Yeah.
Who are the 6 from Trinidad and
Oh
Tobago?
no, I've got to name them. I've been called out.
Plot
There you go,
twist.
hold on.
Morgan's getting fired. Curtis is taking the...
Bingo. Here we go. I can give you them. Akeem Garcia,
Yeah.
Andre Rampersad, Ryan Telfer, that was the one. Federico Pena, Kareem Moses,
right,
and Jan
that's
Michael
right.
Williams.
No. Well, yeah, and Michael Williams though. He's a goalkeeping coach. Goalkeeping coach. He was a
And-
player. He was a player.
So what we'll do, we'll call it half time there, and then we'll start from where you had the ball to in your midfield. So yeah, I mean, before we get to the second half, Curtis, I mean, I guess let's talk a bit about. Firstly, let's talk about the CPL season coming up. I think it's a big season. They're very ambitious, obviously, with what they've come out and said recently. But also on the side, answer, AFC Curtis. What's coming for AFC Curtis? You've started your podcast. Congrats on that, by the way. I imagine this summer, tons of content coming, as the thing you cover is actually happening soon. So that probably helps. I know you've taken a bit of time out recently. If you don't know, Curtis works very hard at school, behind the scenes as well.
Mm-hmm.
So credit to you for keeping both going. So yeah, just talk a bit about all those things.
Yeah, so the podcast was kind of on trial. I probably will bring it back at some point because, I don't know, I just like to be busy, I guess. I don't know. But besides that, yeah, just a lot more videos. Hopefully, I pray to God, if there is one, I pray to him every day that there is a CPL start mid-June. Because I, A, miss the games. B, I need more things to make videos about. It's
Yeah.
boring, this fantasy stuff at this point. But so yeah, so I got a couple of videos to come out. Hopefully, if it's a mid-season start, and I got 4 of them already planned out, just gotta be filmed, and so it's a lot of videos that are gonna come out right before the start of the season or during the start of the season. But yeah, just gonna roll in the videos. I would like to do something live this season. I don't know if that will come together or not, but yeah, that, and then hopefully do something with players before the end of the season. Do videos with players that are going to be fun. That
I
don't
like
wanna
the day in
put
the
out
life
yet.
ones you did.
Pardon?
I like the day in the life ones you did.
Yes, yeah, with my friend Maury in Halifax, now in Halifax, he was at York at the time, but yeah, super cool guy, and I will say he is interested to do it again. I don't know if we're going to do it again or not, 100%, but for sure, I would like to do more things, definitely with the players, to help promote their personalities as best as I can, but, maybe some crossbar challenges with some Valor players, maybe. We don't know what's in the pipeline for sure yet, but
Yeah.
it all depends. It all depends. I'm also vaccinated. I know it's not that much of an excuse, so maybe that helps me get into the bubble. I don't know, but
I think maybe. Not sure
Yeah.
what your thoughts are, guys. We'll go into the second half of the no-name football game. So Dan can maybe come up with some kind of heroics, because right now it's only 1-0. It's only 1-0. So you look at that and say anything can happen. But you definitely have done your homework, Curtis. That's for sure.
It's a joke, Dan. You're embarrassing the lot of us, mate. Sort it out.
I am.
I hope you
I'll
had a.
try.
I hope
Fucking
you,
shambles.
I hope you had a chance to roll out, get some water, listen to some pump up songs.
You better have done it till now, man.
Hopefully I'll be
We're
back.
kicking off right now.
Well, it can't get worse. That's the only positive I can take.
Oh man.
So, left midfielder. Curtis's left midfielder has the ball. I think we have already Dan's decision.
Yep.
All right. So where are we
Oh
going?
yeah.
we're gonna go right forward.
Woohoo!
Switches the play directly, and we have a chance for another goal, maybe the goal that will put this tie to bed potentially.
It can get worse.
Scoring opportunity.
Proven wrong yet again. Okay, here's your question. We're gonna pivot slightly towards Canadian national team away from CPL for a minute. So, which country fits the following description? It is where Canada began taking part in the World Cup qualifications from 1970. It is also where Canada qualified for their first and only ever World Cup finals in 1986. Is it A, Argentina, B, Mexico, or C, USA?
I think it's B, Mexico, is it not?
Are we locking that in?
Yeah, we're locking in Mexico.
Okay.
B for Mexico and 2 for 2-0. 2-0 to score. And Dan's going to have to score now, that's for sure.
B for Mexico and 2 for 2. What?
Just savage, no hesitation.
0. If you listen to it once fast, they're like, no one questions anything. If you think about it, then you'll be like, either I'm crazy or you're crazy. But
I back it.
Either way, it's 2-0.
Yeah,
it is.
That was like,
so let's see if Dan can get a consolation goal, or whether Curtis is going to give Dan the biggest spanking we've seen on TFF. So, metaphorically. So, Dan's goalkeeper has the ball. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Is he going right, center, or left? Back.
Dan, I think you should just say that. Just give it to him, mate. Just.
Right, center or left back, eh? We're gonna go center.
Ooh. Dan, finally, with the ball is with Dan's right back. Where do we go from here?
Right, center, or left mid?
Left mid.
The ping pong doesn't work forever. Left mid is where he won the ball back
added
before.
him to the group or something? Like,
Yeah, he's seeing every step. Chance for a interception. Chance for potentially 3-0. Let's see.
Here we go.
Okay.
Which team has had the highest winning margin in the CPL? Is it A, Cavalry FC, B, Pacific FC, or C, York United?
In a game?
In a game.
Oh, that's Cavalry. I was there. It was 8-0.
he was there. He was there as well.
I filmed a video
he was
about
at
it.
the game.
Of course he was
at the
there.
fucking game.
Of course he was
I
finished
think it's the
there.
Valor. Why wouldn't? I was there. It was ridiculous. It was Labor Day Monday. I can tell you the temperature. It was like a little breezy.
Yeah.
I think I wore the whole.
Describe the
Valor
weather,
shirt that day.
describe the emotions. What was the smell and the atmosphere?
A lot of people left after the fourth goal. I think me and my season ticket holder friend next to me, Bruce, who after the 6th goal we stood up and we clapped because we were just like, why not? Why not? They deserve it. It was 6-0 at that point. And then they scored 2 more goals, and we had a roaring great time. It was
And
a
then
great
you're like,
way to
oh,
the weekend.
these guys, this is too far.
Yeah.
Well, let's see if we can. It's not going to be 8. This game's not going to be 8-0, but it might be the biggest winning margin that we've ever had on this game. I think 3-0 would be that. So let's see where we can go from here, Dan. Once I get where you're gonna go, we'll see where Curtis goes, and it could,
So it's with his midfielder.
Yeah,
right?
It's with his midfield. He's got to go to a forward, so he's going to go right, center, or left forward.
Okay.
Sorry, I think I'm gonna go right. No, center forward.
Ooh. Sometimes in life
change up.
you gotta trust your gut, and Dan guesses right. And I think with that, if Dan wins the ball back, so if you guess the answer wrong, the ref will
full time.
Blow for full time. If not, potentially another goal. Just rub some salt.
It's
in
like
that
on FIFA, there has to be like a certain scenario for the ref to blow his whistle.
Exactly.
It could be 6 minutes more than they added on, but until that thing happens,
Well, you
the
got
ref will
3.
blow his whistle.
You
Okay.
got the 3 points. That's all that matters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
locked up nicely. Right, okay. Let's see what he's got. So, okay, let's do MLS.
Yeah.
So,
Uh-oh.
to keep the ball, which team was the last to join the MLS? A, Vancouver, B, Club de Foot Montreal, formerly Montreal Impact, or C, TFC?
I'm gonna have to close this game out. Club de Foot
This is what we call a curveball, ladies and gentlemen. Curveball, maybe not. Montreal, he feels confident.
Montreal
He
Impact.
seems confident.
Club de Foot. Montreal, and it is the right answer. So I think we can go on right away. You've intercepted the ball in a dangerous area. Let's go to the last question. A lot of these questions are relatively easy. I would say...
Wow.
I think it's going to be...
Jovan, I think this one. I think this one. Let's see. Okay. This is a good tester.
Give me a hard one, please.
I thought I had more hard ones than I did.
This is easy stuff for him.
Wow. Okay, you know what? Since you want the hard one, I'm going to push it even harder. I've got a question here, but I'm going to make the question even harder.
Okay.
I need both you'll see. Which team did Tristan Borges... Did I pronounce that right? Tristan Borges?
Yeah.
Okay. When did he leave Forge FC? What club did he move to before the 2020 season? So, I want the club, and then I'll test you after. So, the clubs are A. Standard Liège, B. Anderlecht, or C. OH Louvain.
Easy.
Thank God you said them because I couldn't pronounce it, but C.
Okay.
Final answer.
Okay, this guy... Okay, now... That's okay. You're halfway there.
Okay.
Now I want the fee. Is it A, 200k, B, 300k, or C, 500k?
In Canadian dollars or euros?
Oh my days. Probably
because transfer market I think listed is in euros. I want to say.
Yeah, let's go euros. What's it gonna be? To seal the game.
I thought it
biggest
was
win ever.
I thought it was between 250 and 350, but I'm gonna say 300.
So, okay.
300 for 3-0. 3-0 the final score. Absolutely dominating. Looks excited for the showers, and he'll get ready for next week. That's what I would say.
I'm just saying that statement was also quite open to interpretation.
Yeah.
For you, I mean, you can make anything.
Excited for the showers, back with the lads. Fair play, Dan. Yeah, so it's been a whirlwind of an episode as always. Curtis, thank you so much for joining us. As always, our close friend and companion when it comes to the Canadian Premier League. We'll definitely get you on again, I'm sure, this summer to talk all things CPL. Who have we got following? So I've got York, Dan's got Forge. Alex, are you Forge as well?
Correct.
I had said Forge, yeah. And then when asked to pick a secondary team so that I wasn't, we weren't all on a bandwagon, I'd said Pacific.
Pacific. What was the reason again? Was it the waves?
Yeah, Vancouver Island's just nice.
There you go.
You're like Morgan. Morgan supports about like the quarter of the league as well in England, so you got the same thing.
Whatever, hat.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Yeah.
Obviously, we want to have more continuous episodes, maybe reviews. I'm not sure what you and Morgan talked about. But reviews.
Well, we've got CPL. Yeah, we need to figure out something this summer that will definitely get involved in CPL. Talk a lot of CPL. We've got CPL month coming up on TFF, so we've got interviews with the likes of Stefan Karajanovic, if I've said that right. We've got also Rob Gale is coming on, and a couple other guests which we're going to leave a surprise for now. So yeah, make sure you tune in for our CPL month coming up very soon. So make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the subscribe button. So much more exciting, diversified content is coming to you from TFF. I believe Alex is cooking up something pretty nice in the near future as well. So yeah, stay tuned. Curtis, thank you again for coming onto the show, and we'll be excited to get you on again very, very soon, I'm sure.
Thank you for having me, guys. I cannot wait to come back already.
For sure.
Always a good time.
We'll make sure you're not playing
this has been...
We'll make sure maybe I'll even try
Okay.
Yeah, a bit harder opposition.
Yeah, maybe we'll bring like a brick, something that's maybe a bit challenging, something that will do something effective. Okay. Yeah, thanks for watching again. Another episode of TFF. Wherever you are, take care. All the best. See you soon.
Ciao.
Wait, I see you. Don't go yet. Hit that subscribe button And make sure you follow us on Instagram at TFF Media and TikTok at The Footy Forum to ensure you're part of the most inclusive football community out there. We hope you enjoyed the episode. Until next time, take care.